Sometimes students that have limitations also excel in areas that surprise their teachers. Their teachers are so focused on possibly what they can't do that given an art experience, they're able to shine and show what they can do. You heard it? Might be all right. That one works? That one started to work. That one didn't work. Let's try this one. My name is Jeff Mather. I'm a teaching artist from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a teaching artist. I'm also a community-based public artist. And being a community-based artist means I don't have a studio practice where I make work that's my own individual work. I only work in collaboration with schools and communities. The way the design process happens in the site sculpture residencies is we take about the first half of the residency to do what I call R&D, research and design, as opposed to research and development. And this means taking photographs of the site, whether it's outdoors or indoors, usually from multiple angles. We proceed to design it with a photograph of the site as opposed to drawing ideas on blank paper. So it's art in context. Whatever is going on in that physical place becomes the primary inspiration for what we design and how we design it. In the midst of doing a lot of drawing and encourage them to do what we call iterations, to not execute one design and say, done, because sometimes students have that impulse to quickly fulfill what they think you've asked of them and then throw their hands up or push back and say, I'm done. And instead to encourage them to think, that was a good first swing at it, now let's develop it. And so they really get that idea that they're honing their ideas, they're developing their ideas, and they're doing a whole sequence or series of iterations. Sometimes students who are drawing a lot, they reach a sticking point and they need another way to open up the flow of their ideas. So one of the things we do is we have what we call a handling collection. Being involved with a handling collection or getting in the groove of handling the handling collection is a form of pure play. This is something where educators can have an artistic thing that they do before you throw a design challenge or a design problem at a group, is that you compose a handling collection of tools, gadgets, materials, chunks of this and that people can take some time to just fiddle with. And they don't have to talk about, oh, I see, this makes me think. They don't have to verbalize. That they can just have that time to have spatial, kinesthetic, tactile experience that then informs what they go on to design. We are such a society of specialization that I'm discovering that more and more kids don't have experience with tools and materials. And they're excited just simply to get their hands on raw materials and tools that they've never held before. When I work with students on the autism spectrum, sometimes they get into a habitual way of drawing and drawing the same way or the same thing over and over again. I was working with a student in a class that was on the autism spectrum, everyone in that class was, and when I asked him to draw, he had a video game villain that he was rather obsessed with. I believe the name of the villain was Carnage, and instead of drawing sculpture designs, he would draw Carnage in the photograph where the sculpture might be. And no matter how much I encouraged him to shift gears, the Carnage seemed to always appear. When we had him try to explore some other ideas with a handling collection, we had some debris like from a junkyard that were like hubcaps and wheels. So we had materials like that laid out in this large open space on the carpet, and he just moved all around that space and manipulated those materials and built all kinds of towers and constructions to kind of work out the possibilities, what could be done with those forms. He really did shift gears, and we heard no mention of his video game villain that he was so fond of. It's nice to have another thing to step sideways out of doing just the drawing, where they can then explore other kinds of spatial reasoning, spatial thinking, and then that helps a lot when we then go back to the design process for the collaborative project. when you get students to try new things, to step out of their comfort zone, and to collaborate, it begins to build something that is currently being referred to often as soft skills. And what we see is that art activities, whether it's performing arts or visual arts, build these soft skills, which include good communication, collaboration, and thinking outside of what's given. So when we have kids and students who are allowed to have increased art activities, it's measurable. You can see that they actually have built these other sets of skills that are now so valuable to employers.